Welcome to the January 26, 2021, 6:15 p.m. open session meeting of the Ayer Planning Board. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, Governor Baker issued an emergency order temporarily suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Public bodies otherwise governed by the open meeting law are temporarily relieved from the requirement that meetings be held in public spaces, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations through adequate alternative means. This meeting will be broadcast live on Channel 8 and on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by following the call-in information on the bottom of the live broadcast screen. For the Zoom meeting information relating to remote participation, please contact Cindy Knox, IT Director at cknox@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8252. or Heather Hampson, Administrative Coordinator at hhampson@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8214 prior to the meeting. Good evening, all. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. It's so weird that I was in a meeting the other day and there were 64 people and nobody was muted. It was very, very, very different. So, okay, first order of business, approve the agenda. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none. So, Ken, you're first. How do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Jonathan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Thank you. Nathan?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Fantastic. So first on our agenda, and Mr. Peter,
Yes.
how do you pronounce your last name, please?
DeCarolis.
Thank you. I think I've asked that in the past, and I am embarrassed that I've asked it again.
No problem.
Thank you.
No worries.
So Mr. DeCarolis from the John Carroll Reserve. I think it's being marketed as Sydney Place.
Well, that is something that I would like to speak to you guys about also tonight. I think there's a planning board procedure we may have to go through to change the name.
Let's discuss that also at maybe now, or maybe you can have a conversation with Mark about that. No, I happen to be I get the daily updates from MLS.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I tend to refer to properties by their names, not by their address, because it gets confusing. Like we have multiple projects at 0 Washington Street because no one has a number yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for now we'll call it John Carroll Reserve. Mark, you want to fill us in on what's going on, please?
Yes. The notice of decision for the John Carroll Reserve subdivision had a requirement for a bond to be posted, and this is something that was worked out with Superintendent Mark Wetzel. And Mr. DeCarolis has gone ahead and met with Mark, and they worked out the details of the bonding amounts. And I believe that Mr. DeCarolis is seeking a partial release of those funds in order to, enable him to start some work or obtain building permits, so he can clarify that. And there are some issues here that I'm not quite sure right now how we will set out to do them, setting up a tri-party agreement, but that's something I can work with our town accountant and also perhaps council to set up if needed.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to take a couple of steps to get through this process.
Yep.
Mr. DeCarolis, you want to take a moment and let the board know what's on your mind?
Yep, absolutely. So it's nice to meet you guys. Thanks for holding the meeting tonight. I appreciate that. So the purpose is not to request funds to be released. Although if you have any funds you'd like to release, I'm happy to take them, but I have not posted any funds yet. So the purpose is to post a bond. I understand Ayer accepts a tri-party agreement. Mark Wetzel came up with a number of $315,000 to cover the balance of the work required to finish off the road. I'm in agreement with that. Ready to sign and post as soon as we can figure out the method. That's the purpose. In order to get building permits, I understand we have to have a bond posted for any remaining work to be done on the roadway. So I'm anxious to get building permits. I have several houses pre-sold already, and that is why I'm here tonight.
Thank you very much. For the members of the board, I'm going to try and do a different methodology as before. Usually I leave it open and people try and get my attention. So I'm going to ask if you don't mind tonight. I didn't tell you about this before. Sorry. But for board members who have any questions at all, I'm going to ask Jonathan, do you have anything you'd like to ask her?
Yes, I have one question. This is to everyone, particularly to Mark and anyone who may be in the know. Mr. DeCarolis, have you met all the requirements to date so that we are in a position where we can, for this to be made? I mean, is everything on track? Is there anything that would deny us the ability to say yes to this?
I can tell you on my end, this is the big item. I have a few small items to do. For instance, putting some signage up for Conscom, which I have done actually. She just needs to inspect it. I have to get a street sign in. I have to give proof of recording for easements. My attorney has recorded everything. I just have to get those over to Charlie. I had to get some granite curbing out front. I've done that already. This is the last major thing I need done. So, and this is twofold also, posting the bond, but also the planning board officially releasing the lots upon acceptance of the bond. I need a formal release of the lots from you guys.
Mr. Diskin, have you anything to ask?
Yes, Mr. DeCarolis, we met in the field and, I was out there that day when we met with your site contractor and yourself, DPW.
Mhm.
So the way I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, is we have a covenant on the project that came with the approval.
Right.
And instead of waiting all the way for the road to binder, which the covenant might require, you're basically requesting that we put a bond on the balance of the work so you can apply for permits on a selected piece of lots. Could you give me an idea how many lots you're going to be asking for?
Well, I'm going to be bonding for the entire road, so for all the
Okay.
lots.
So we can expect a recommendation, I guess, Mr. Chairman, is what I'm asking. We would expect a recommendation from DBW that would be consistent with Mr. DeCarolis's request that we can take a motion on. Is that the idea, Mark Ashenbo?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as setting up the agreement, and I'll have to work with council and our finance people on that, but I can get going on that. But yes, I think planning board authorization to do as you just mentioned would be a good first step.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I've been looking for Mr. Wetzel's email to us, and I'm going to read between the lines. It doesn't say it's a great way to go forward. He just talks about this has been something that's done in the past. He's prepared the spreadsheet. I had it in front of me less than an hour ago, and I can't find it for now, but I have a feeling the process is making us, the board, aware of this. Mr. Archambault, Mr. Wetzel, Mr. DeCarolis, and his party, the parties will get together and figure out what the next step is. And I'd imagine we'd have something as quickly as the next meeting for to work on if the board feels that it's okay. I personally, I've known Mark Wetzel, excuse me, to be on top of these from the past. I just wish I can't find what he sent me. So
Yeah, the list is very detailed.
I just don't know what I did with it.
Okay.
I probably filed it somewhere and I'll find it in about a year or two.
Right.
Okay.
But
Mr. King, have you any comments?
No.
Thank you. Ms. Murray? Nothing to add? If I give it to Jonathan and Ken up front, it gets all done, right?
Sounds great to me.
Correct.
Okay. Mark, I'm sorry, Julie, I didn't mean to step on you were talking. So Mark, can you help Jonathan with a proposal? I mean, a
Right now,
a motion?
go through it quick.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yes.
Wait a
I
minute.
think the motion would be to authorize the town planner to,
Wait, hold on, Mark.
oh, yes.
Ken has something.
So should we make a motion now, or do we need to see the documents from Mr. Mr. Wetzel first, the board.
I believe I was hoping that Mr. Krantz was going to make a motion that Mark should do the research and get this together to bring us something in a
Well,
future
I
meeting.
can read the bottom line on the spreadsheet that Mark Wetzel sent us regarding the bonding.
Thank you.
Completed cost to date, he has a $284,400. Work remaining, $313,973.
Okay.
And there's a whole list of conditions and the special conditions that Mr. DeCarolis had to meet before he got to this level. And I will double check with Mark, but I believe we have met most of these. We did have the pre-construction meeting in the field that Ken mentioned. And, be a drainage easement between lots 10 and 11. That's what Mr. DeCarolis also mentioned. So I'll need to just go through the checklist with Mark Wetzel while we're getting the paperwork all prepared.
Yes, and I was actually, Mr. Diskin, I was hoping that Mr. Krantz would put a motion together that would empower Mark to do the work
Okay.
to bring us something so we can execute it at the next meeting. Fair enough. Go for it, Jonathan.
You're testing me. I make a motion that the board authorize our town planner, Mark Archambault, to proceed with the efforts necessary to compile all the necessary paperwork and information for us to come to a determination at our next planning board meeting.
Thank you. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Diskin, for seconding that. Ken, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jonathan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Murray
Aye.
and Mr. King?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Mr. DeCarolis, thank you very much for your time. And looks like we're going to put something forward for you for the next meeting.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone's
Thank you.
cooperation. That was the result I was hoping for. And yeah, I'll work with Mark Wenzel and Mark Archambault also in the next few weeks and get everything ready for your next meeting. Appreciate it a lot.
Thank you very much, sir.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
night. Thank you.
Moving on our agenda. Next on our agenda is a preliminary subdivision plan for 0 Washington Street, Northeast Site Development LLC and Beals Associates, or as we are starting to call Panther Place. Do I need to reopen the hearing, Mark?
Yes, you could just state, yeah, we're reopening the public hearing.
I'm going to reopen the
The
public
public
hearing.
meeting, I should say.
Public
because
meeting,
it's
exactly.
preliminary. Yes,
Mark, can I ask you to take a moment and kind of
yes, I will-
bring everybody up to speed on where we think we are?
right,
Of course, we've got Mr. Beals, Mr. Para, Mr. Levine in the room,
yes.
figuratively speaking.
Okay,
Thank you.
I believe the planning board is ready to act on the plan this evening. And the 3 actions that are possible in a preliminary plan according to the statutes are to approve with modifications, or deny the plan. And my recommendation to the planning board is to make a finding of approve with modifications, and the reasons for which I cite in the staff report. So there are many motions or many items to discuss as part of this approval this evening. If you refer to page 7 of my staff report, I summarize the actions that the planning board needs to take tonight to get beyond the preliminary plan stage. The first would be, and something we haven't done yet, is to endorse the conservation recommendations as forwarded by the Conservation Commission to the planning board on December 7, 2020. And, as we discussed before, the conservation recommendations from the Conservation Commission are somewhat general. So when we state that the buffer zone in the New Hampshire ESP area are the primary conservation area.
Excuse me.
Yes,
National Heritage ESP.
correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Not New Hampshire. No, I'm in New Hampshire now, so I'm thinking, correct. So, making an endorsement of the plan of the Conservation Commission's recommendations on the conservation findings would be a first step that I recommend the board take this evening. The second would be to make a finding on the base number of units in the yield plan. And I recommend that number be 19, which is not including the 2 A&R lots on Washington Street. So the number 21 is the total that is shown on the latest version of the plan. Then after that, I recommend that the planning board discuss the requested waivers that the applicant has submitted to us. And those are on page, I think, 4 or 5 of my staff report. Yeah, actually page 5, they're listed. And, you know, we can get into a discussion of that when we get to that. One thing I will mention is that a motion on the waiver should be made in positive language, meaning that somebody would make a motion to approve the waiver request, and then the planning board can discuss waivers 1 through 5 and whether it votes to approve or deny
Oh, I see.
the motion.
Whether it votes to accept or not accept the motion
Correct. Accept or not correct.
with an affirmative vote.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we do that one by one, Mark?
Yes.
We will do that one by one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, take each of the 3 of the requested waivers are very similar. They have to do with the diameter of breast height for trees that would be measured and shown on the plans. And there are 3 different, slightly different versions of that according to the subdivision regulations. The 4th waiver is for not measuring contours at a exact area or exact level for the area that's north of the power lines, which would be open space anyway. And the last has to do with the road length of the dead end street. Also, I wanted to mention that we had a lot between the last meeting and this meeting this evening. We had a lot of discussion. We even met with the town council on a Zoom meeting. The whole subject of can the power lines be counted towards the minimum amount of required open space. And after a lot of back and forth and research that we did, it turns out that, you know, yes, you can put a conservation restriction on a power line easement. It's done fairly frequently. And also there are circumstances related to this particular power line that I believe support the contention that it could be included, such as the fact that it's narrow. It has a lot of early successional vegetation, which serves as a good wildlife habitat. And it does not have extensive areas of power lines themselves compared to the major power lines or the trunk lines that go through the town. So for all those reasons, I recommend that the planning board make a finding that in this particular case, that the power line easement can be counted towards the minimum required amount of open space. And that will allow us to review on a case-by-case basis future subdivisions that come before us that might have somewhat different circumstances in regards to power lines. I believe that's mostly it for what we need to do this evening. Again, I recommend that we start with a endorsement of the conservation findings from the Conservation Commission, and then proceed to a general discussion of lot yield. And peer review studies is something that, you know, we should, I believe, settle on before we get to the definitive plan stage. We may not settle on everything this evening. That's something that we can work on later if needed. But I do believe that the waiver should be acted on this evening because that would give the applicant more direction as to how the definitive plan will be laid out. One thing I'll mention about the, and also the density bonuses, they require a public hearing, a special permit and a public hearing before they can be granted. So I recommend that as part of the process that we do that before the submittal of a definitive plan. That way the applicant can know the exact number of lots that they can show on that definitive plan without us having to go back and forth and revise the definitive plan several times. So that's something that I recommend we do, you know, in the next month or so. I think that's it.
What have you been doing for the last 2 weeks, Mark?
A lot of research on this and power lines and you know, Ken has also done a lot of research on power lines. So there's a lot to discuss.
Exactly.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Krantz.
do you believe that we're ready for me to make a motion to endorse the conservation recommendations of December 7th, 2020?
I don't see anybody shaking their heads wildly no.
Nathan's.
Mr. King has his finger up.
Yeah.
So if I may, so what I'd like to do is pick them up one at a time and everybody get my attention. You're about this big on my screen right now. And I'll do my best to know everybody. And Mr. King, what would you, it's also been requested that I make sure I ask each person, okay, including the applicant during a time. But Mr. King, why don't you start us off?
I guess I'd like to understand what we mean by endorse the conservation recommendation versus say accepting it, given our purview and authority over the content that's in it. So I'm curious if, you know, what role is there for the planning board to endorse it, and should we more or less could we rather accept it?
My answer, that's somewhat semantical. Endorse does sound a little bit more positive, that we, you know, fully agree. Accept almost sounds like we accepted it for consideration, that we're not really making a judgment one way or the other. I think in this case, endorsement is proper. You know, as I mentioned before, the conservation recommendations are just that, they're recommendations. And we know that even though the Natural Heritage Endangered Species Program line that's considered high quality wildlife habitat and all, it doesn't mean if we endorse their findings that we're saying that that's off limit to all disturbance or development. It's just saying that we recognize that when allocating the open space in the subdivision, that we should pay special attention to that area, that area is more important than the areas closer to the road, say, which the findings show. So later on, once we're past this, I know in other business, we could discuss the joint meeting between the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board, where we discuss how to refine this process so we get a little bit more exact conservation recommendations in the future. You know, but that's something that would be, you know, in the future going forward.
Okay. Well,
Go ahead, Mr. King. Yeah.
Well, that's, yeah, I think that if we don't have authority to enforce it, then the endorsement language is too strong, and I would prefer accepting it.
Yeah, I think that's acceptable. Yeah, as long as there's a motion to somehow legitimize it, because it is part of the process as described in the bylaw. The planning board needs to make a finding on the conservation recommendations. So whether you say accept or endorse or whatever, you know, I don't think really makes much of a difference.
I would like to say that I believe what we're tasked to do is to make it a part of the application, an official part of the application, endorsement, acceptance, or words. I don't want to go down the semantic road because of our timing this evening, and I do appreciate you bringing up this point, Nathan. And I have to say that a lot of work's gone on. Thank you very much for everyone who's been doing it the last couple of weeks in order to bring this process to be more cohesive. I know there's been a question from Attorney Para, you know, conservation, planning board, when does that happen? And unfortunately we're coming up to speed on that, given the bylaw changes was recent. So if it's okay with everybody else, accept the word acceptance as opposed to endorse.
Leave it up to Jonathan to make the motion.
Exactly. Go ahead, Jonathan.
I make a motion that we accept the conservation recommendations forwarded to our board from the Conservation Commission on December 7th, 2020.
Do we have a second, please?
Seconded.
Thank you, Ms. Murray. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. King, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Murray, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Diskin.
Aye.
Mr. Krantz,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Thank you very much. One down.
Okay, do we want to, we could either move on to the base number of units, or we could discuss the requested waivers or other items.
I'd like to do the vote on the lot yield,
The base number of units?
base lot yield, I think it's called.
Yes, thank you. Okay, why don't we do base lot yield?
I'll make a motion that the planning board accept the count of 19 house lots under the Panther Place subdivision OSRD preliminary plan as shown on the plans, on the yield plan included in the package.
Seconded.
Seconded.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I
One
want to go, Mr. King, yes?
One quick question for probably directed towards Mr. Beal through the chairs. Just to confirm, this lot yield was done on a 650-foot driveway, is that, or road, is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none. Ms. Diskin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Aye.
Ms. Murray,
Aye.
Mr. Krantz,
Aye.
chair votes aye. Two down. Mark?
Yes, we could, I think probably the waivers is probably the next thing to discuss. And it might be good for the applicant to describe, since I think we had a little bit of confusion about some of the requests, you know, why they were requesting each one in turn, and then we could discuss them in turn.
Excuse me, Mr. Diskin, can I help you? I couldn't figure out if you're trying to kill a mosquito or get my attention. I'm sorry.
I just thought it, I was going to ask Mark if he thought it more appropriate before we went to the waivers to accept a motion to accept the fact that we are going to after further review and a lot of research, accept the fact that the power line easement can be accepted as part of the open space.
Yes,
Get
that
that
would be
behind
fine.
us and then
You
move
don't-
on to the waivers.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that would be good. And I would recommend that the board cite the language that I have, which,
Page 7, Mark,
yes,
letter E.
yes, letter E, but it's really,
Thought it was D.
no, D is one of the waivers. So
D is the length of the road.
Oh, wait a
E
minute.
is
I'm earlier, maybe I'm like page 3, maybe.
You know,
Page 7.
Yeah, page 7, some of that is my narrative, so let me see how it might work into a motion.
Thank you.
Okay, it would be where you see it says, "I now believe."
Oh, I got it. Sorry.
It's about 4 or 5 lines
So
down in
Instead
that
of
paragraph.
saying, "I now believe," the text, the motion could say, the planning board finds that the area under the power line easement can be counted towards the, and then just continue. So it's where the sentence begins with, "I now believe," take that out and put "the planning board finds," and then read the rest of that paragraph. And that would, I think, make a good motion.
may I take a stab at this? I think I know how to combine those. I think the key to this motion is include the conditional part. Is that correct, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to make a motion that in this particular case, the power line easement, as articulated on the plans for Panther Place, can be counted towards the minimum required amount of open space. Given that, and that is, that can be counted both towards the total tract or original lot area, and also be counted toward the required 15% minimum open space in an OSRD subdivision, given that this easement is only 130 feet wide on average, It features a young successional forest, provides great a habitat area, and is of more conservation value than other potentially wider power line easement areas within the town of Ayer.
Thank you. And
Yep, that would be good. I would just say that add the planning board finds right at the beginning of that sentence. So I moved that the planning board find, because it's a
Planning
finding.
board finds.
I recommend that,
All right,
that Jonathan amend his motion.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, guys, but we've worked really hard to get here.
That's good
So we're
stuff.
kind of enjoying it, but go ahead, Jonathan.
Do it
I'd
again.
like to amend the motion I made to include that the planning board finds, et cetera, as previously articulated.
Seconded, et cetera, et cetera.
Moved by Mr. Krantz, seconded by Ms. Murray. Do I have any further discussion on this item?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Diskin.
So when we sign the decision, these clearly will be typed for our double checking the language and whatnot.
oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And if I may, and I'm going to sum up for the audience at home. Bottom line is, it is not uncommon in this type of situation for this style piece of property to have this happen. And that's why we've chosen to do it. There's precedent in town, there's precedent all over Massachusetts. And that's all the work that we did for the last couple of weeks. Thank you.
And if I
Yes,
may
Mr.
add one
Krantz.
more comment for the public too, very briefly.
Go ahead.
Also, it's important to note that everyone know that the planning board did walk this site as well as the Conservation Commission. And that we part of our reason we moved this is because we recognize that that land under the easement can be accessed by the public in a meaningful way. And we recognize that there may be other instances where that isn't true, but in this particular case, this is accessible, publicly valuable land.
Thank you, Mr. Krantz. Without any further discussion, I don't see any. Mr. Krantz, I'm looking at you. How do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Diskin,
Aye.
Mr. King,
Aye.
Ms. Murray,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Thank you. Now we move on to the waivers. Excuse me.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, how do you want to handle this? Do you want the applicant to describe why they requested these particular waivers and then we discuss each in turn, or?
You're talking about waivers 1, 2, and 3, which talk about, yeah.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3 have to do with measuring a certain diameter of tree and showing them on the plan, various plan sheets of a definitive plan set. Waiver number 4 has to do with the topography intervals, and waiver number 5 has to do with the maximum dead end road length.
Tell you what, I'm gonna ask this, I know I'm jumping around, but let's take care of 4. I think it's gonna be easy. Let's get it out of the way. This is the 2-foot
Correct.
measurement of the 2-foot contour.
Mhm.
Okay, Mr. Krantz, are you capable of making a motion on?
Yeah, I was wondering, Mark, where do you think I should pull the language from for that?
You would just say the planning board moves to,
Approve?
approve the waiver request for the, to not show 2-foot contour intervals as described in their request. Boy, that's not sounding so great.
Okay, I think I know.
But they do cite, I would also cite the section of the subdivision regs, which is in parentheses underneath each of their listings.
Hey, Mark, can you do us a favor? You've done a phenomenal job in this. You're talking about page 5, correct?
Correct.
Thank
Number
you.
4 at the bottom.
Yeah, it comes up in multiple places in the document, so I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Okay, Jonathan, is that helpful?
Yes, so
Great.
I'd like to make a motion that the board accept the waiver request that's submitted by the applicant under Air Subdivision Regulations, Section 6, Plans for Definitive Subdivision A 1D, that we waive the requirement for 2-foot topography, foot contour intervals in the area from the southern pound line easement to the northern property boundary limit.
And that area will remain unimpacted by the work.
Right, it's part of the open space.
Good.
Can I make a suggestion on that motion, please?
You can barely hear you, Heather, but of course.
So when you're making the motions, you're making a motion to accept the waiver as requested, and then just list the waiver. Makes it much easier and to the point. That's all you're doing.
Okay. Did you hear that,
Thank you.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I'd like to amend my motion to simply say, I make a motion that we accept the waiver as requested. I'm missing a piece and articulated. What's the next part, Mark? Heather, help me.
Item number 4, waiver number
Yeah,
4.
you just-
And where,
You're
number,
just gonna list the waiver, so under section,
Number-
bylaw section, whatever, yeah,
yep, subdivision
in
regulations,
the minutes, so.
plans for definitive subdivision A1D, number 4.
Seconded.
Thank you, Ms. Murray. Any further discussion on this waiver? I thought for a moment it would be easy to do. Ms. Murray, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Diskin.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Krantz.
Aye.
Thank you, and the chair votes aye. So if I'm not mistaken, that leaves us with the 3 waiver requests that are labeled 1, 2, and 3, correct?
Yes,
Number 5 too.
and number 5.
And number 5, yeah. Okay, thank you. I'm going to actually ask, if I may ask, I want to take them up one at a time, but, and this may sound like a dumb question, but I get to ask dumb questions in time. Waivers 1, 2, and 3 are all very similar. They deal with different parts of our bylaw, but they're all very, very similar. Can anybody from the applicant opine on why they are similar but different?
Yeah, I can. The subdivision regulations that we put together basically consist of different sections that highlight different requirements in the drawing of the plans themselves. So some refer to a layout plan, which may have this requirement plus other things. Some sections require, now we have a new section requiring a landscape plan, which is different. And finally, the detailed design plan, which could include profiles of the road and utility, and a number of other features. So you basically have 3 different sections that they're going to have to turn in on the final drawings, 3 different plans that end up with the same kind of requirement for the trees. I think that's kind of a summary, Mark.
Yes, yes, the tree thing is pretty consistent throughout. For number 1, it mentions within 50 feet of any construction. For the landscape plan, it doesn't have that limitation. It just says all trees over 12 inches in diameter shall be identified. And for number 3, the detailed design plan, it also mentions within 50 feet of any construction.
Thank you.
So in this case, when we articulate I know we have to do the waivers as an approval. I make a motion to approve the applicant's request for waiver pursuant, but with the modification of the dimensional change from 12 inches, but with the proviso that it applies for trees 24 inches and over, not.
Well, that's
So-
yet to be discussed. That's a sub aspect of these.
Right.
But my recommendation, which you can,
So I would,
recommendation is to like a partial waiver, but that's something that I think we need to discuss with the applicant as to their reason for requesting this. And to see if some compromise between very small trees, 12 inches, you might say, or somewhat smaller, why those should not be shown. And my reason for suggesting 24 inches and above is because I think, that would capture more significant areas of the project that we might want to design around, in an effort to achieve a more environmentally and aesthetically pleasing subdivision. I think the more information we have on these stands of trees that might include trees over 24 inches, the better we would be able to do site planning at a more minute.
If it winds up in the middle of the foundation, then that's problematic for us. So I think we need to differentiate between locating them and then having some discretion based on the design of attempting to save the specimen trees, but not being prohibited from removing them if there's some reason why the tree has to be removed. Joe, do you want to add anything to that?
The only thing I would add to that, Mark, before you is along those lines, and then also just the sheer size of the site. I mean, I think we've shown good faith that we have no problem providing any information anybody wants. But when we're talking about half of the site is going to be reserved for open space, and it's a large site, it's a lot of work. And then again, we were hoping that this process right now would give us a pretty clear-cut idea of how this is going to lay out. And I got to be honest with everybody, I got a concern here that we trees, and then like Larry touched on, we have some prohibition, and now we got to go back. Are we redesigning things? What's really the end game here? Where we've already tried to make efforts to pull away from things and locate what we got. I mean, 12-inch caliper trees on that side of a site. That's a lot of information. We have no problem providing information, but at the end of the day, what's the end game? We're trying to get some direction here on the design, and then when I hear that this can provide for future design and changes to the plan, I gotta be honest with you, but I get a little anxiety of where we going with this. So
Thank you. No, thank you.
Certainly I agree with Mr. Beals that, identification is not saying that, we're considering them off limits. It's really to see, what I see coming out of this is maybe slight tweaks to the location of some things, not wholesale redesign. And I think having the larger trees over 24-inch diameter identified will just, it may or may not show us that there's clusters of these tree groupings that are large, or maybe they're not. Maybe they're distributed pretty evenly, in which case it doesn't really, it wouldn't make sense to try to single any one of those out for preservation. But I think we can't really assess that until we have a little bit more understanding of the large trees on site. I know you identified the trees over 30 inches, and that's great. I love looking at how they fit into the scheme of things. But I think, the board wants to make a more informed decision. And, as I mentioned, identification is not prohibition. So, I think, it would help the planning board to make it. And also too, one thing we need to keep in mind is section 9.6 of the zoning bylaw specifies that you have to meet the land clearing and erosion control standards. And if you read those standards, it pretty much prohibits, widespread clearing of sites, what some people might call clear cutting, which might be an extreme term here, but, so we're seeking to avoid that. As Jeff mentioned, Chairman Tillotson mentioned, in the past, Ayer has received subdivisions that were very poorly designed with lots of problems. And we're trying to make sure that we do things as carefully as possible from here on out. If you look at some of the subdivisions, I won't name names, that were approved in the 80s and 90s, we're still fixing problems in those subdivisions. And we hope not to have to do that for any.
Yes. Thank you, Mark. Mr. Krantz, you have a comment?
I think that 24 inches is a reasonable compromise. And then I think the logical time to have a conversation about the impact of the trees that we see identified as 25 inches or larger would be at the definitive plan stage.
Mr. Chair, can I just make a comment here?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So during the conservation analysis with the Conservation Commission, the request was made by the Conservation Commission to locate trees. And I think Brian Butler made the judgment, which was accepted by the Conservation Commission, that locating the trees with a diameter of 30 inches was sufficient. All of that information, is available now. I'm not sure that adding trees between 24 and 30 inches makes a great deal of difference. So I just wanted to point out that that's what the Conservation Commission and the conservation analysis look for, which is consistent with, I think, the purposes of the planning board in terms of, trying to assess the environmental impact of the project.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Please. Mr. Diskin.
Okay, so I'd like to concentrate on the way the waiver request was written. And Mr. Beals, there may just be an error in the language that you used here. And so we're talking about the requirement on the layout plan, and you quote, trees over 12 inches in diameter within 50 feet of any construction. So this layout plan is talking about a group of trees that's within 50 feet of area to be constructed. So if we looked purely at the subdivisions part of it, it would be 50 feet of the new right-of-way. I believe that's how you would construe that as the subdivision. But later in the last sentence in the paragraph, you say, due to the nature of the property, our office is anticipates filing a waiver requesting that the layout plan shall not require the locations of all trees over 12 inches in diameter. So the request should be identified, I guess, that you're only looking for the waiver for that 50-foot construction area, I believe. That's what you're asking for in the first one. But the way the thing reads, it looks like you're going to ask for all trees over 12 inches not to be identified. But the first layout plan only requires within 50 feet of any construction, doesn't address the entire site. So I don't know, that's just another point of discussion, but
Yep.
I tend to lean towards, in this particular one, I'm leaning towards what Mark suggested, that, and again, concentrating on trees with, it would, instead of trees over 12 inches, it would say trees over 24 inches in diameter within the 50 feet of construction, because I believe that's what we're really talking about on the layout plan.
So in effect, that would exclude all of the open space area,
So
North-
if I may, this was Oxbow's first. It has the red square. I believe we're talking about the area that would end up being in the development, in the developed land.
Yes, not the open space, not the power lines.
So if we were to take this page and overlay onto it, either the yield plan page in the sets of plans, it would just be I'm going to call it disturbed area for ease of use. So no, we don't want you to go out and identify all the trees between, on all 22 acres. It would be on I forgot the number of square feet that's going to be in the disturbed area. I believe that's what the board is talking about.
well, and I'm assuming this would be done during the definitive process.
Yes.
So, maybe the best compromise would be to say within the limit of disturbance.
Well, I think you just have to, I'm looking up the requirement section. It is section 6 of the subdivision, I believe.
Yeah, it's 6F2.
Yeah,
Mike,
doesn't seem to line up with that, but
Yeah, it's Ken, it's on page 27 and 28.
that's where I'm at. Okay.
And I'm going to say something which will get me in trouble at some point, but I believe, and I can speak for the board, we're thinking about only the area within which there will be houses built as we talk about these waivers. Fair enough?
I call that the development envelope.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it just as a term of art, we'll call it the development envelope.
yeah, Jeff, I think that's the better way to go, because that would also include any infrastructure that's in place too, that is necessary for the development.
Thank you.
Would anybody like to hear the whole paragraph?
So Mr. Levine, I hope your agita goes away a little bit here. I mean, Larry's looking for a couple days in the field here. He might do it himself.
Well, it's snowing out right now, so it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I hope
today.
you're all at home home safe already. We sent Mark home early today, so we wouldn't get. I was on a bike ride today while Ken pulls this up. I was on a bike ride today, and I planned it to be home just at 3 o'clock. And at 3:05, I walked outside, and it was snow on the driveway. I was ready for it. I got lucky. So, Mark-
I want to hear Mr. Diskins read the.
I'm going to read you the whole paragraph. This is under layout plan number 2. It says like right there, F2. So we're talking about a plan. The layout plan shall show the existing and proposed boundary lines, areas of frontages of all lots, parcels, roads and easements, any zoning boundaries, the location of all bodies of water and wetlands, any permanent monuments, large boulders, ledge outcroppings, stone walls, trees over 12 inches in diameter within 50 feet of any construction, and the general layout of the stormwater management system, showing all detention basins or retention ponds, other major stormwater management structures, and the general flow of stormwater in accordance with the Ayer NIPD's Phase 2 Stormwater Bylaw and associated regulations. So we're talking about one tiny piece of what's required in the layout plan. And I think Mark's recommendation is solid, that if we want to consider a waiver, it just turns the 12-inch requirement to a 24-inch requirement. And it's within that 50-foot distance.
Well, for me, this discussion has been very helpful because it's helped define the parameters and the intent of the regulation. So I don't want to cause any more problems for Joe, but it seems like a reasonable thing to do. And I do like trees, and I do need a couple of days in the field, so it's self-serving. But I understand the intent. You know, it would be unfortunate if after we started construction, we realized that if we shifted a property line 10 feet, we could have saved a 100-year-old oak tree. So it's hard to argue against that. So I'm tapped out, Joe. If you've got an argument.
I will relent. I think that's reasonable. If we're only talking about where we're working, and when we focus on things like words like tweaks and things like that, well, like normal, we'll do our best to make as many people happy as possible. So,
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. King.
I appreciate the direction the conversation's going. And I think, Larry, your description of the two forests or two growths there is very helpful. I think, and I'd like to take a moment to pull back and look at the forest here. That I think we've mentioned that this subdivision should have, we want this to have some character to fit in with the community. So some historical anchors, like potentially some of the old growth forest that is there. I think, at least in I won't speak for the rest of the board, but I concur with what Mark was saying, that I'll interpret it a little differently, that we're trying to get a survey of what's in the development envelope, so that we consciously take a look at what is being preserved and what's going to be removed, knowing that a fair portion very likely will be removed. So I think that's really just, so that my intent is that we make an analysis, and we have a sense of awareness that we saved this and we lost this, and that's the plan going forward, because we want, in the end, development that has good curb appeal, that people will appreciate living there.
You make a very compelling statement. It's hard to argue with that. And, as you were talking, I was thinking about the two different forests. The forest that will best survive after clearing are the trees that grew up in the open meadow, subject to all the wind forces, because they've got the massive root ball. And the other trees that grew up next to each other are counting on each other for support, and you take them out and then the edges start to fall. So there's a lot of logic to what you're requesting.
If I may say one more thing, I did do a little internet research on trees, and 12 is like 50 to 70 years old, if I'm correct. 24 maybe closer to 100 plus years. So I'm interested in knowing, in putting a number in this motion, that helps us to survey that old forest.
And if I may, I think the larger trees, which are the more established trees, as Mr. Beals just said, and Mr. King was just saying also, yes, I know you're building beautiful homes and you want to give people access to the yards, but I think they'll actually appreciate the screening that the older growth will offer. And I'm just gonna tell you on a personal note, I rode by the house I grew up in, and when I was in 7th grade, I planted 2 trees in the backyard. I could not hug one of them today. The other day when I was going by, barely got my fingers around it. It's just a maple.
Yeah.
The little red maple in the back did well too, but I was amazed. So, and when you get to look at a tree that you planted 47 years ago, so that brought this home to me. So anyway, I think we have a modification. Any more discussion on this?
Well, I would just like to
Yes.
hear that last point on, is 24 inch the right number? Is it 22? Is it, I guess, where does 24 land with this old growth forest?
Oh, you're giving us too much credit. What I have for doing this is I've got a tape that's calibrated. Each segment is pi, 3.14. So when you pull it around, if it's 10, it means 10 times the diameter. Why don't we say 24 inches plus or minus? Because if you look at a big old tree like that, there are nooks and crannies and it's pretty irregular. So if there's any question in our mind, we're going to err on the smaller size. And I think the thing I would also add is that we should identify both the diameter and the species.
I'd appreciate
Because
that.
a 24-inch pine has a lot less value than a 24-inch oak, for example.
Around here, a 24-inch white pine hasn't frozen and broken yet.
Right.
By the way, gentlemen, by all means, drive by my house. I bought 70 of them on my property, and they're between 80 and 90 feet tall.
Wow.
And if they sit, the fact that they sit next to each other, which one do you move? Because they're taking care of each other. But go ahead. Okay, let's not get. I won't go too far off the beaten path here. So, Jonathan, I think we reached a point. Are you at a point where you can?
I think so. I'm going to ask for everyone's forbearance as I make this first stab at this, and please correct as you have before. I appreciate it. So I make a motion that we approve the waiver pursuant to the layout plan requirements of Ayer subdivision regulations, section 6, plans for definitive subdivision F2, with the modification that trees are plus or minus roughly 24 inches in diameter and more within 50 feet of the development envelope be in fact recorded.
I'm gonna ask you 50 feet of any construction within the development envelope.
50 feet within any construction of
I
development.
can see Mark Archambault is going to throw his neck out, going up and down like
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Okay, is everybody clear on that?
Why would we not just say the development envelope?
We are saying the development envelope,
But
Nathan.
why 50 feet? If we're going to tweak and move,
That's the layout plan. That's what we're
Okay.
talking about.
The development envelope is the outside boundary that we've been working with on the development plan.
understood.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Seconded.
No, they both got to the mute button at the same time. Great. So proposed by Mr. Krantz, seconded by Ms. Murray. I'll give her that. Mr. Diskin, how do you vote?
aye.
Thank you. Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Murray?
Aye.
I did that intentionally.
Not the other
And
one.
Mr. Krantz, how do you vote?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Thank you very much. On to waiver number 2.
I make a motion that we approve the waiver pursuant to the landscape plan requirements under Ayer subdivision regulations, section 6, plans for definitive subdivision H2, with the modification that existing trees of 24 inches and over in diameter within 50 feet of any construction in the development envelope have their location recorded and the variety of tree described.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded by Ms. Murray. Do we have any discussion on this item?
Yes.
Mr. Diskin?
Yeah, this section of the subdivision regulations doesn't refer to that 50-foot distance. It just refers to the landscape plan.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, thank you. I was actually going to mention that to Mr. Krantz. That's one of the subtle differences in why we have multiple motions, Jonathan.
so I guess you could amend it if, I think the same 24 inches applies. It just doesn't have to include the language of the 50-foot construction, you know,
Within 50 foot of construction.
yeah.
Okay, but it does include the development envelope though, because we just.
It just,
Yes.
it
we're not gonna-
just refers to it as the landscape plan.
Yes.
The landscape plan. I am so sorry. I'd like to amend my motion to reflect that, please eliminate the 50-foot of construction within the envelope and modify that to be just identified on the landscape plan.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Seconded by Ms. Murray. Any further discussion? Mr. Krantz, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Diskin?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Murray?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you very much. And the third waiver request.
Yes, I'm just looking over to see what I need to include and not include.
Take your time. Take your time.
This one seems to be similar to the first one in which it does speak about 50 feet of any construction.
Mhm.
Yes, that, yes.
Okay, and this one's about the detailed, okay, I got it now, okay.
Mhm.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the waiver pursuant to the detailed design plan requirements as articulated in the Ayer subdivision regulations, section 6, plans for definitive subdivision J2H with the modification that trees 24 inches in diameter or more within 50 feet of any construction in the development envelope be placed on the detailed design plan.
Seconded.
Thank you. Seconded by Ms. Murray. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Diskin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Murray?
Aye.
Mr. Krantz?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Thank you very much. Okay. I think we have now 5 to do, number 5.
Yes.
And Mark, help me.
Yeah, number 5, I'll just read.
No, excuse me. Was there one other one besides 5? No.
Yeah, it is number 5. It's on
But
page-
there wasn't another one after 5, correct?
correct.
Thank you. I'm used to sitting in the room at town meeting where they actually put the order of motions up out of order, so you know what it is. Okay, so 5 is the last one we want to do. Okay, great, thanks. Go ahead.
This is a waiver pursuant to the permissible maximum dead end road length. Subdivision regulations, section 7, road utility and stormwater design standards, B4A. And the applicant's request reads as noted in the section detailed above the Ayer subdivision regulations. The maximum length of a dead end street shall be no longer than 650 feet, excluding the turnaround circle. The proposed development contains a dead end street totaling 710 feet, excluding the turnaround circle. So if the planning board granted the waiver, they would be saying it's okay to go to 710.
Okay, is that clear for everybody? By the nodding of heads, I assume. Mr. Krantz, would you like to take a stab at putting a motion together? Putting out a
Yes, I
motion.
just want to clarify that, Mark, again, the way I have to phrase this as approved, right?
Well, yeah, positive,
Okay.
Yes.
So I make a motion that we approve the waiver pursuant to the permissible maximum dead end road length as articulated in Ayer subdivision regulations, section 7, road utility and stormwater design standards, B4A.
Second.
Thank you. So move Mr. Krantz and second by Mr. Diskin. Do we have any discussion on this topic, please?
Yes.
Mr. Diskin, Mr. King raised his hand.
let King go.
No, I will defer to Mr. Diskin.
Oh, you're gonna, he gets all the
I'll
press.
come back after.
Good. Okay, thanks. Go ahead, Mr. Diskin.
No, let Nathan go, please.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Obviously, it's age over beauty. There you go.
Let's- Well,
Thank you all.
I've been thinking about this waiver also. A couple points. One is at the opening of our open space residential development, in our purpose statement there, we want to promote and encourage creativity in neighborhood design. So I get that, we're trying to be a bit flexible. And then I'll just reiterate what in the subdivision regulation, these are the planning board's subdivision regulations. My understanding is that we and members before us have put these together with some thought. So I treat these subdivision regulations as good guidance for the planning board. And so with some reason, I assume that we put this 650 foot distance in there. It's interesting that it says dead end streets shall not be longer than the 650 feet, excluding turnaround circle. And I think in the preliminary plan, it does show I think a larger than minimum circle, because when you overlay the two, you get to about the same point. So I assume that's the case. Is that right, Larry?
Yes. The cul-de-sac is a minimum, and by making it slightly greater diameter, allowed us more flexibility with the driveways and the curb cuts. And we thought at one point during a discussion, potentially stormwater management within the cul-de-sac. But
Yeah.
yes, it is larger.
Okay.
It also, if I may, makes it easier on the trucks that have to go in there, especially emergency vehicles.
Right.
And
So I do appreciate the larger one, but go ahead, Mr. King.
And I'll note that already in your plans, it's one of those 30-inch trees is pretty close to the center of that cul-de-sac. So there may be a tweak to available to us in that area. So I guess given what given that we and boards before us have put this down, and I think it was just changed recently, that we don't have a lot that's long and narrow like previous conditions where we had to extend into to get into all the developable space. In this case, we're almost right there, and so I'm inclined to leave it at 650 feet, unless there's really a strong case to change what we put down in the regulations.
Thank you. Mr. Diskin, you wanted to speak? I'm sorry, Nathan, you're done?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Diskin?
Yeah, so I'm not going to support this request to go to 710 feet. And it's largely based on the fact that the subdivision regulations are new, and we went through this kind of a discussion quite extensively. Our previous subdivision regulations were the road length was 500 feet. We came up with a compromise looking at other towns and other developments and whatnot to go to 650. I think it would be a bad precedent for us to establish a waiver request on the very first subdivision that has to be limited to the distance of 650. On top of that, the NHESP, line and the lots that go into that area, although they have the no-take letter, it would be beneficial to, I think, the planning board and the town if that length was shortened so that those lots would, somewhat move back out of that NHESP line. So this gives the applicant a chance to rethink the location of those lots, the size of those few lots on the end. But I just believe that we're not in a position right now to allow a waiver on road length, since it's a brand new regulation at 650 when it formerly was 500.
Thank you. Ms. Murray or Mr. Krantz, have you anything to add?
I agree with the two colleagues who previously spoke.
Ms. Murray? I'm sorry, you said you're on mute.
The nod was I'm
Yeah,
in agreement with my board members. Thank you.
thank you. I am going to do one thing I don't often do with this board. We have been looking at this property. I'll tell you where I come out on this. I've thought long and hard about it. Yes, 500 feet, but if I go back and look, I've only been doing this for about 6 plus years, 6 years here now, I think. And every single subdivision before got an extension, got a waiver. This is one of the most commonly given waivers here in town. And it was always given with the argument that, well, it's a unique piece of property. This is what we should be doing. And I do recall the long evenings and discussions about 650, 710. I think this property could support a longer road. I know it's part of the thing we discussed earlier. But I will also acquiesce to the feeling. I mean, we've got a straw poll. I got 4. We're going to vote for it. So I think the feeling of the board is that the cul-de-sac will be 650 plus the bulb, I believe is what the language of the bylaw is, correct? Mr. Diskin, Mr. Mark, made a marker, Mr. Diskin?
It's a subdivision regulation.
It's sorry, well, subdivision regulation, yes. So it's 650 plus the bulb, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
not including the cul-de-sac is the way I think it's worded.
Yeah.
Something like
Again, I'm doing terms of art this evening. So it's functionally reducing the length of the road by 60 feet.
So can we address this request?
Please do.
So I think the board is aware, when we came in with the original proposal, that there was considerable concern from the planning board about the intrusion of lots into the wetlands and the buffer zone. And so we proposed this extension, which I think is a very modest extension. I mean, when you think about 60 feet, it's, 4 or 5 car lengths. It's a very short additional distance, but what it permitted us to do was to pull lots out of the buffer and wetlands. And those are the areas, that have the highest priority in the conservation analysis and the conservation findings. The natural heritage line is a what's the right word? Is a gross map. It's not surveyed in any way. There've been no, delineations and determinations as to wildlife habitat. It's just a jurisdictional line. And we have been to natural heritage with respect to the, proposed subdivision, and those lots are not in an area of endangered species habitat. So the conservation analysis and the findings said, well, if you're going to make a choice between one or the other, the natural heritage area that does not result in a takes, a second seat to the buffer and wetlands. So, we prepared the revised plan to try to address the planning board concerns, which were echoed by the Conservation Commission in terms of the, wetlands and buffer. And it's a little disappointing to get to this stage and be told that that approach seems to have been incorrect. I think we've made every effort to respond. I think the proposed plan is the better plan from the point of view of the conservation analysis and frankly, the design of the subdivision. Larry, perhaps you can overlay the two plans.
It's not necessary.
I'm sorry, who spoke?
Were you
Okay,
asking, well, Alex, were you asking if you could overlay the two plans?
Well, I was suggesting that perhaps we could show so that the minimal distance difference in the distance of the road has an outsized impact on the design of the subdivision.
So I actually have the plans teed up on my screen, if it's helpful to the board. We took the two subdivisions, the two alternatives, overlaid them on each other with different colors. We have a side-by-side comparison and also have the ability to toggle back and forth between them if the board would like to see the differences before it actually votes on this.
I would ask if that would help anybody.
No,
No, I've gotten shaking heads on 3 out of 4.
I do have
Mr. King?
I do have a comment in response to Mr. Para that, I think the NHESP in section 962 D2 talks about 2 conditions that it has determined to include priority habitat as documented in the National Heritage Atlas, or has delineated significant habitat. In my understanding that which this is just my understanding, is that neither of those apply. And so I think that when you look at the property as a whole, the more logical break, especially when you compare it to Moore Drive, just to the east, is the power lines. So I think that you've demonstrated that you do have a right, authority or opportunity to develop into the beyond the NHESP line. So I don't think personally, I'm not going to speak for the whole board, but reducing or keeping the road length to 650 does not, in my view, require that the lots stay inside the NHESP line.
I'd have a comment too, Jeff.
Please.
So Mr. Para pointed out the difference between that they changed to accommodate I think the wetland to the east and maybe to the west by lengthening the road. But the flexibility that's allowed under OSRD gives the applicant the ability to lower the lot size, as we all know, and be flexible. I believe what's left at 650 is plenty of room for the qualified engineering team to come up with a scheme that stays at 650 and falls within the requirements of the lot sizes and can do a little math. In the as far as the conservation recommendation was concerned, it did delineate the edge of the NHESP line as being in the same area of high priority. And so comparison between saying that the Conservation Commission marked the wetlands as higher priority than an NHESP, I don't think is accurate. I think that they both had the same coloring, the dark red coloring right along that line. So yes, we know, and Nathan pointed out very thoroughly, I think we understand that you can work within the NHESP area, but I'm apprehensive about the waiver just as much on the fact that it's already, the waiver just will establish a precedent that I'm not comfortable with. I think the applicant has a team and the ability and the knowledge to work within the dimensions that are available to them and the quality of the land that's left at the 650 and make it all work. And I feel comfortable that they can do that.
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Yes,
address-
Mr. Levine. Yes, please.
Thank you. Yeah, the only thing I would add, I can see where the winds are going here, is that when we talk about, the flexibility that the open space allows with flexibility of the lot sizes and things like that. The reason that we proposed, and then I, as the applicant and developer really liked it, was the proposal of the longer road was solely, well, not solely, one and two. One, get, away from buffer per what we thought the comments were. And the second thing, to your point about the design, and I've spent hours on this thing, more than hours, is we were really trying to find lot width. Because at the end of the day, even though you have a very flexible, open space residential regulations, at the end of the day, there's practicality of what can we comfortably fit here. What gives us, you can put the appropriate house, you don't overbuild it, you don't make it look like you're jamming them in there. So when we really picked up the length of road, which was 60 feet, 2 first downs, that picked up the width when we pulled it away. So, the vast majority of the frontage was 80 feet, 10-foot setbacks. I got a 60-foot box to build in. That's what it really was about. The depth of the lot has never been, it's the width to get something to fit comfortably so people's junk doesn't seem to, be, people got some privacy, people can maneuver around their houses. That's what we were up against. Not only did the length of the road pull us away from the buffer, it gave lot width so that I felt, in my experience, that gives me the flexibility, build something appropriate, build something that looks good, build something that fits in there comfortably. So that's really what, the benefit of the 60 gap when it comes to the design of the lots. So just thought I'd add that, as well.
Thank you. Other comments?
Does anyone feel any different about I understand Mr. Levine's point. It's very logical. I guess you're the proponent, you're the guy. So I think in the long run, I do feel confident that you'll figure out a way to do it. If you lose a lot of two, that happens. So I understand the argument, but in the discussion, but I still feel comfortable that I don't want to grant the waiver.
So at this point, the waiver is worded to grant the road at 710 feet, correct? So do we want to either amend the waiver, or sounds to me that it's not going to pass?
I think we should just vote.
Okay. Any further discussion? Thank you. Mr. Diskin, how do you vote?
No.
Mr. King?
No.
Ms. Murray?
Oh,
Mr. Krantz?
No.
I will vote no also.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Murray.
sorry to interrupt, but I just want to draw your attention to the time. And
I've been checking on that, thanks.
Hi.
And I've actually been reaching out to Cindy right now. And that's honestly what I was doing. You may have heard me typing. Yeah, we're over time now by a large amount. Mark, what else we got to do?
I'd recommend one overall overarching motion regarding the approval of modifications. I think that would be an important thing to put in the record. So I'll read the motion to do that. The planning board-
Excuse me, Mark. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just got a hard stop I got about 10 minutes, so go ahead.
Okay. The motion would be for the planning board to approve with modifications the Panther Place preliminary subdivision plan dated January 2021 with the waiver requests as decided and the findings of the planning board made at its January 26, 2021 meeting. So by doing that, we're saying it's an approval with modifications. We reference the waiver votes and the findings. So again, it would be to make a motion to approve with modifications the Panther Place preliminary subdivision plan dated January 2021 with the waiver request as decided and findings of the planning board at its January 26, 2021 meeting. So that captures everything and puts it into a nice.
Okay, I'm ready to go if you guys are ready.
Please.
I'd like to make a motion. The planning board move to approve The Panther Place preliminary subdivision plan dated January 21st with the waiver requests as decided and the findings of the Air Planning Board made January 26, 21.
Thank you. A second, please.
Seconded.
Chair, I believe the plan was dated January 7th.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't reference the exact date.
Yeah, I actually have January 11th on the plan.
That's why I kept it as the month.
You know, that's usually Diskin's job. So on the January 11th plan, thank you.
pretty sure it's, is it the 7th?
Before.
I felt, whatever, mine says received January 11th on it. I've got a paper
No,
copy of it.
that's the second iteration of the plan. The first one was November.
November 24th, yeah.
Wait a minute, let's get the right date.
Yeah.
I think it's January 7th, as Mr. Para indicated.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is January 7th. The date
It
I got
is.
it in the office was January 11th. That's why it's stamped as such.
It says received on it. That's, you know. Okay, thanks. So it is January 7th plan. Thank you, Attorney Para. I think we're done for the evening. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Do I need to make an amendment
Yes,
first, Jeff?
thank you.
Just, I want to amend my motion to include the date of the submitted Panther Place subdivision plan dated January 7th, 21.
preliminary plan.
Preliminary plan. Did I say that?
Yes, you just did.
Preliminary.
Thank you, Mr. Krantz. Thank you, Attorney Parr, for catching me at that. Mr. Diskin, how do you vote?
Wait, do we get a second?
I'm gonna second it. Sorry, Heather.
Yes, I'm
Any
sorry.
discussion?
I'm watching the clock again. You can't do that to me. Okay, Mr. Diskin, how do you vote? Any further discussion? I'm sorry. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Diskin, how do you vote?
Aye,
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Murray?
Aye.
Mr. Krantz?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
Fine.
Mr. King.
are we going to set a date for the density bonus, or that's going to be on the agenda coming up?
That's something that I would like to discuss with the applicant offline or, with a phone call, is scheduling that. The density bonuses require a special permit hearing. And I know, I believe as such, it needs to be advertised, and
Yeah.
Heather is our expert on.
There is quite a lot of, there's a long deadline for that. So I
Right,
have it
so
all
the-
marked out.
Right, so I recommend that the applicants contact Heather to work out the dates of the application for the special permit hearing on the density bonuses. I recommend that we do that before they prepare the definitive plan, because the outcome of the special permit could have a bearing on that. So I
Thank you
think that would
very
be the
much.
most efficient use of their time and the planning board's time.
And Mr. King, thank you very much for reminding me of that. I was trying to go through what's left to go. Anything else on this plan that's left to go, Mark?
I believe that's it, though I hesitate to say yes, because if I miss something, I would feel bad.
I'm sure that the applicant will bring it to our attention.
so that Mark will prepare the decision and you'll sign it, Jeff? Is that what we're going to do?
Yes,
Before,
yes.
so they don't have to come back to another meeting to get the decision? Or-
No, I don't believe so.
Okay,
No, we will work out the logistics of getting it prepared and signed. And gentlemen, I'll let you know. I'll sign it. We'll get that to you as quickly as we can. Okay.
Good, thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm sorry to hasten you out the door, but I've got to finish up a couple things in the next 3 or 4 minutes.
Great.
I love Zoom. On our agenda right now, we have a continued.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you for
I'm
your
sorry,
time.
gentlemen. Good to see you. Thank you.
Okay,
And
bye-bye.
Larry, if you want to walk, I'll walk the property with you if you want.
Okay, sounds great. You can measure the trees. Keep
Send
me
an
honest.
email. Send me an email. Thanks. Okay, we have two items. I'm gonna, Mr. Krantz,
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to
do
continue.
your magic. Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing for the special permit for 14 Washington Street to our next planning board meeting, scheduled planning board meeting.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Diskin,
Aye,
Mr. Krantz,
Aye.
Ms. Ernie,
Aye.
Mr. King.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Krantz,
I'd like to make a motion to continue the site plan review for 14 Washington Street at our next planning board meeting.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Diskin,
Aye.
Mr. Krantz,
Aye.
Ms. Murray,
Aye.
Mr. King.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Mark, you
Mr.
don't get to
Chair?
say anything.
Mr. Chair, did you register your vote?
I'm sorry, chair votes aye on both motions. I'm sorry, guys. I'm lack of personal contacts really showing in my life, okay?
Oh, this is stressful. You're doing good. We're all.
Anyway, Mr. Town Planner,
Yes,
I'm gonna step on your updates right now, okay?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
I
thank
just
you.
wanted people to think about, are there any minor things with the bylaw that we could do minor tweaks of definitions or whatever for the April town meeting? We would have to have a hearing and I think by the second meeting of February or first meeting of March to meet that deadline. But if there are any minor things that we could do for the, to fine tune the bylaw, we could think about that.
Okay,
and
thank you.
discuss at the next meeting. Yep.
Old business and new business. I've got a couple kind of announcements I want to talk about. We have heard nothing from the town of Harvard about the town line issue. All I can tell you is that the feeling on this side of the town line is we're absolutely correct. And that's where it stands. Any new business?
I have something I wanted to, there was a couple
Go.
things that, sorry.
No,
There
go
was a-
ahead, please. Yeah.
There was a couple of things I wanted to bring up in the previous hearing, but we didn't have time. So I'll speak to Mark about it and communicate it directly to the applicant if that's okay, I guess.
I can't imagine you wouldn't let me know it was going to happen anyway, Mr. Diskin.
And I'll
But
send you a
yes.
copy of what I had
Yeah.
in mind of the board, but it's basically, as I'll mention, it has to do with requesting a sidewalk be built
Mhm.
at the entrance leading to a crosswalk to the school, which was not shown in that plan, but I want to see it on the definitive plan. So
Mhm.
we're still in that spot. We haven't got to the definitive plan yet. So
Exactly. Hey, Mark,
Yes.
may I ask you, Mark, that when you do speak with the applicant about the other items, you might want to shoot off an email about that?
Yes. Yeah.
Or-
So
or make sure you include it
send
in.
me a little
And
snippet. of-
Mr. Diskin, why don't you send your graphic to Mr.
I
Archambault?
will. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Anything else under old business or new business? Thank you very much, Cindy. Are you there?
I am
Yep,
here.
Mr. Krantz has his hand up, so.
No, I was just saying goodbye. No.
Oh, no, I want you to make the motion. You got to make.
Oh, I make a motion to adjourn.
No. We
And
wanted
he just-
Jonathan to give a report of the meeting last Friday night.
Time out, Cindy, 2
You want
minutes.
to do that?
You got it.
This is actually very important. Go ahead.
Yes.
So I want to confirm that at the joint request of the board, we did form an ad hoc subcommittee with Conservation Com to talk about issues of communications and process. As you know, I had some preliminary discussions with Jessica Gino. And then ultimately, we did have our meeting Friday night, and I believe it was successful. 2 of us represented the planning board, Ken Diskin and myself. And then there were 4 participants from Conscom, plus the respective agents, Mark, the town planner, of course, Joanne as the conservation agent. And I think this is an instance where the process is as important, or actually even more important than the outcome. It just reinforced, of course, there's the mutuality of our concerns and a mutual desire for excellent communications. I think the general takeaways were the following. I think the general consensus that communications are good and will continue to be good, that there are multiple avenues for cross conversation, including between Mark and Joanne, and also through the land use team. Another thing that was a big issue was, is there any way that we could get from recommendations of priorities to a real prescriptive a prescriptive action or prescriptive recommendation from Conscom? And they said yes, that they're reviewing right now alterations to the regulations that would suggest, say, a 50-foot no disturb zone period. So they are moving to that more prescriptive action. I think there was a general consensus that it would probably be a good idea for both parties to know more about the Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Protection Area and what that means. There was mutual interest in that. And I think those are the big conclusions of it. Ken, have I missed anything? Because Ken and Mark, because you were both there.
No, I think that was essentially it. One thing that Jess brought up was possibly a two-tiered recommendation,
Yeah.
such that the initial recommendation that they would give us would be without them seeing any lot lines. They just get the current use plan, basically. The existing conditions, I should say, with some information from us. If we know the wetland boundaries, if we know any more about the habitats, we give them all that information. They give us similar to what their recommendation was for this subdivision. Then they talked about, we didn't really resolve this totally, but they talked about maybe refining that once the preliminary plan is actually submitted, so they can look at what the applicant's thoughts are and maybe fine tune their recommendations so that we get something more prescriptive, as Jonathan was describing.
They also mentioned that there should be a step, I think we all agreed with this, a step between the recommendation and the first planning board meeting where we meet with them directly.
Yes. Yes,
We put this step in the process instead of just receiving the documents. We physically, meet,
Yes.
talk about it step by step. But the other concern, which I think we all have, and Jonathan summarized it somewhat, what one of the members of the Conservation Commission said it, we think we're all in the same spot to develop what's the power of the recommendation. How do we, as you say, prescriptively come up with it? So when that recommendation, how solid is it when we get it? That's about it. Thank you very much. Mute.
You're all lucky. I was on mute. Yeah. Jess, thank you, Ken. Jess did reach out to me after the meeting, and she was concerned if there was a problem. I couldn't go because of that previous engagement, and I guess I didn't communicate that. But she thought the meeting went really well, and they're encouraged that this is an opportunity for us to work together. And I still want them to see it with the lines on it in the beginning, but I'm going to lose that battle, I have a feeling.
Yep.
With that said, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Any discussion? Mr. Diskin.
Need a second.
Seconded.
Thank you.
Cindy seconded it for me. Mr. Diskin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. King.
Hi.
Ms. Murray.
Aye.
Mr. Krantz.
Aye.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Mark. Chair votes aye. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, APAC.